everyone, and welcome to another episode of Simply Nerdy. I'm your host, Steven. I'm joined today by the panel. We are here to talk about the best of 2023. We're going across all the nerdy mediums. We're going games, we're going movies, we're going books. Okay, we're going to cover it all. So here we go, we're jumping right in. Well, here we go. We're starting off with The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. We have 4 responses. We have all played the game. We all give it a 10 out of 10. Look at that. It's trophy of the night.
We're not biased. I'm just kidding.
Absolutely. Well, maybe a little bit. Just kidding. So
I was gonna be a little surprised if that wasn't the result. So
yeah,
agreed. All right, moving on. We got Fire Emblem Engage. This one got 1 response with an 8. And we also have our interest. So we haven't played the game. We have an interest score of 1 through 5. And, 1 is a 2, 2 is a 4, 3 is a 6, 4 is an 8, and 5 is a 10 out of 10. So with that accumulated, let me see. Where are we? Fire Emblem Engage. We got a 6.5.
It's kind of hilarious because it looks like all of the people who haven't played it and are interested, which is everybody except for Anthony, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
We all put a 3.
Yes, it's ones where
Antonio, you're probably hurting Anthony's feelings right now.
No, not at all.
Sorry.
It's
Don't always say
it's not a priority either. I can acknowledge that.
yeah. It's
For me, 3 was like, I'm like interested, but I probably am not going to make it a priority.
Yeah, that's about where I'm at. Like, maybe if a super good sale came along, I would try it out. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have to acknowledge it's kind of a unique way to rate these games because, since we're all a 4-person panel and not everyone has played the same games, it's not a straight score, but it's the best we've got considering that we haven't all played it. So
yeah, so just to clarify, if you're just rating it by those who've played it, Anthony gives it 8 out of 10. There you go. He's the one that played it.
We have Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe. We've got one of us who's played it who gave it an 8 out of 10. And then we have an interest scores of 2 2s and 1 4, which give it a 6.0 score. I think this was you, Dave. Did you give it an 8?
Yeah, I was going to say, defend your game.
Defend it, Dave.
It's several steps above the last 2D Kirby on the Switch, Kirby Star Allies. I can understand why it's one of the why it's like a fan favorite from the past. So I really enjoyed it, and the new epilogue with Magolor was really good too. It was fun to play as someone besides Kirby, and anyway, it's a solid game.
All right, next we got Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Future Redeemed. We've got 2 10 out of 10 ratings for those who have played it, and a 2 scores of 5 for interest, so it is a perfect score of 10 out of 10.
To be honest, I'm surprised that we got that high of an interest rating from Steven.
Hey, I am having fun with the first, definitive edition of the first game, but I am interested in the fact that Anthony talks it up so much. Just makes you want to play it even more. So
it's just fantastic as all, but you all know how I feel about Xenoblade 3 in general.
We are moving on to Metroid Prime Remastered. We've got 3 ratings of 10 out of 10 for those who have played it, and an interest rating of 2, which brings it to
sorry guys,
8.5.
I have memories as a little kid trying to play the first one and having some alien eat me from behind while I couldn't aim at it, and it made me really mad. So
it's fair. At least it's not a first-person game.
I'm not a first-person game. I'm a human.
She's not a first. Yeah, that's fair.
I'm not much of a first-person game player. If it's especially player shooter.
Yes. So this one is probably, unless you guys can think of a different example, but this is probably the best-looking game on the Nintendo Switch right now. It is beautiful, the work they've done to the textures, and the way that the game came out on GameCube was just epic, and it was the best looking game on GameCube. They turned around and did it again generations later, and I don't know how they did it, but it runs beautifully The sound is incredible. The options for controls are great. Incredible remaster. I hope the others get the same treatment.
It was the remaster it looked so good that it like eased my fears. There was part of me that was like, oh no, they're going to release Metroid Prime 4 and the Switch won't be able to handle it. You know? But then they released this, and like if Metroid Prime 4 looked this good, I'd be happy. You know, that's how good it looked. So
all the fears went away.
Yeah, I was like, okay, this is going to be good.
Now we got Pikmin 4. None of us have played it.
Oh, wow. This one has some spread.
This one has some spread on interest. We got 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, and 1, 5. So,
5.
So the rating is actually a 7.0. A 7 out of 10 for this one.
Yeah. I was the 5. I bought the game. I was enjoying it a lot. I just haven't played it enough to say that I've really played it. So
played it. I might have been the 2 because it's like slightly negative of neutral for me. However, you know, depending on what Anthony says, I might be convinced to give it a try.
I think I was the 4 because I did play Pikmin 3 and I enjoyed it on the Wii U. I haven't played the one on the Switch, the port of the Switch version, but I enjoyed my time with Pikmin 3 and I am curious to try it. Moving on, we've got Super Mario Bros. Wonder. We have 4 responses because we've all played it. There are 3 10s and 1 9, so we give it a 9.8.
It's very good.
I mean, I still haven't finished it because I prefer playing it with people than playing it alone.
I haven't finished it either.
So maybe if I had finished it, I would give it a 10, but I would say at the very, like I don't think, I guess the reason I gave it a 9 was because it's not like transcendentally amazing. Like it's wonderful and great fun and I love it, but it wasn't like,
so it was.
Well, the time over to Anthony. Hold on, wait a second.
Sorry, Anthony's about to rip me apart.
No, I don't. I was just going to say that was actually the exact experience I did have. So,
that's good.
That's why reviews are subjective.
Exactly.
I just at the time I was giggling like a child, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember this is how I felt as a kid playing video games. Just this feeling of wonder, and
yeah,
you know.
Anyway. I guess I'll say it is my favorite Mario game I've played in a while. Like Mario, I guess. But I also don't have as many memories of playing like Super Mario on the SNES as you guys. Like I have memories of watching you guys, but and then also I have to say, I am magic. I have the rare and amazing skill of being unable to stomp on a Goomba. And that really, really makes it hard to enjoy sometimes. When you're just jumping everywhere, the Goomba is not.
That's why they gave you power-ups like the elephant where you can just...
That's why I like the elephant. I like just running and punching. It's great.
All right, moving on. We've got Super Mario RPG. We've got 2 responses for those who have played it, and they give it a 9 and a 10. And then with interest, we have a score of 4 and a 5. So our average score for this game is a 9.5.
Solid.
You're right, Dave.
I haven't finished the game yet, so I might have been the one that gave it 9 out of 10. I'm suddenly... It was like I was hovering between 9 and...
No, that was actually me. Basically, I think it was just about the perfect remake. I felt like the reason I gave it a 9 instead of a 10 is because I think there were still things I would have done a little differently, like the challenge. I would have loved that to be, really cranked up high. The game was great.
They should have
plenty challenging.
They should have added a hard mode, something like that would have been...
Yeah, please have it be in modes. When Anthony says he wants challenge, I just cringe.
I loved Super Mario RPG, the remake. This might be a hot take for this particular panel, but I thought that all of the reorchestrated tracks were better than the originals. And
I've been converted, Anthony.
Oh, good.
I might say all of them, but I've been converted that like I accept them all and think most of them at least are better.
Yeah, no, I love them very, very much. I thought Shimomura did an excellent job, which is unsurprising. And I thought it was an excellent remake. There's just a few things I'd tweak. Like I can't think of the last game before this that I was so desperate for a challenge that I stopped equipping armor so that I could get it.
Yeah, I here's what you said, Anthony, about how it was too. A lot of people were saying it was probably too easy. I did that from the start. Basically, I was like, well, what if I just don't equip the armor? Then I can pretend I'm playing hard mode. So it's kind of worked for me.
So you guys are like those people that don't get any heart containers when playing Zelda.
Yeah.
Well,
oh my gosh.
I don't know. It feels a little different there. It's hard to quantify why, but anyway, the point is, it was just a little bit easier than I wanted, and yes, I was able to do something about that, but I like being able to have a challenge that doesn't require me to limit myself to get there.
I haven't played it yet, but I give it a 5 because I am very excited to play it. I don't know how I'll feel about the music, but I'm going to give it a fair shake.
Nice. Okay.
By the throat. No, just kidding.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. I think. All right. Moving on. On that note, moving on, we've got Hogwarts Legacy. 2 of us that have played it gave it a rating of a 9 out of 10 and a 10 out of 10. And then interest, we have an interest rating of 2 and an interest rating of 3. Therefore, the game is at a 7.3. And I have to say, this is probably the best Harry Potter game that's ever been released. I love the combat system, the music. Dang. I was listening to the soundtrack, and it's like it fits right in with the movies. Right in with John Williams. I don't know how they did it, but yeah, the gameplay was also great. It's not perfect. I believe I gave it a 9. Maybe I gave it a 10. I don't remember. Anthony, what did you give it?
You were the one who gave it a 10, Steve, so...
I did? Okay, I gave it a 10. I can't. So anyway, it's not a perfect score. It's not a perfect score. The game is not perfect. There's some flaws, but it is the best that Harry Potter games have ever been. So it's still a masterpiece, but there's still flaws.
Let's be fair. Giving a game a 10 out of 10 doesn't mean it's perfection. It just means that that's how much you enjoyed it. So
yes,
I'll lay off. I agree with you. I was the one who gave it a 9. I'm thoroughly enjoying the game. I'm almost done. I think I'm probably about 80% of the way through the story. And they managed to make it very intriguing. The main thing I have to do is make sure that I don't let myself get overloaded with all the stuff there is to do and feel like I have to do it. And as long as I'm being careful about that, I really enjoy myself. And the combat is the hard carry for me. It almost feels like a Platinum Games light kind of feel to it. Like they just really put a lot into it. And that's quite a compliment if you know how I feel about Platinum Games.
All right, moving on. We've got Marvel's Spider-Man 2. The 2 of us that played it gave it a rating of 9 out of 10. And then with interest, we have a rating of 2 and a rating of 4. So that accumulates to a rating of 7.5.
I might have been that too, but I thought I did a 3 at least, so I don't know.
So it's actually a score of 8.
Okay, good.
With that adjustment, which is perfect. It deserves an 8. I think that's great.
My interest at 4 because I fully intend to play the first game. I still haven't played the first game. I fully intend to play that, and then if I ever get a PS5, I'd probably play the second one. It's not a priority because I simply don't have the games yet or the systems, but it seems like a fun one.
But don't forget Miles Morales because that one is good too. Anthony, you want to say anything about this one? You could probably sum up both of our thoughts on this. Minus, I think I had a better... I think I appreciated the villains more than you did, maybe. Especially Venom. I loved him. But I want to hear your thoughts, Ant.
Yeah, no, I'll just give it a quick fire. The combat felt awesome as ever. I feel like that they've really done a good job with that. The only thing that it was held back by in the combat department was it didn't feel like it had as solid a progression system as the first game. Because you kind of start with all the first game's abilities, and then you get a few more. But it feels like most of the upgrades in this particular entry are kind of like, it's a slightly more powerful version of the same ability that you already had. And I feel like the first game, every new ability, I'm like, oh wow, this adds a completely different combat utility to my kit. Like I can use this in a completely different scenario and switch things up. And so that was a little bit of a holdback for me. I also I hated that the suits were cosmetics. I hated that. And so I never used them ever, which is very different from how I played the first game. And I think that my biggest critique though is just I felt like so the first game, I thought its story was very well put together. It flowed. I felt like it really felt like I was able to see how it was growing and crescendo, I guess. It just felt like it was getting more and more important as we went. And I felt like Spider-Man 2 had more of a villain roulette kind of feel. Like it starts off with one and all of a sudden, oh, and he's done. And now it's this guy and he's crazy and weird. Oh, and he's done. Okay, now it's this guy. And oh, I guess things got crazy real. Oh, the end. Anyway, all in all, I mean, it's probably sounds like I'm very negative about the game. I still quite enjoyed myself, but I think the first game is better just because maybe I'm one of those people that is just really tied into make me care about the stuff I'm doing, and I enjoy it more. So
I think that's a fair thing, though. I think that's totally fair.
Sense of progression with the combat. Also, okay, last thing. I don't feel like they balanced the growth between Miles and Peter super well, because there was several times when I was like, no, Peter is easily inferior to Miles right now, and then oh no, never mind, they're kind of back to par. And so anyway,
yeah, I think
it's a solid game. It's got its flaws. I really enjoyed it though. I think it deserves a 9. But yeah, I liked the first game quite a bit more probably.
If you want to hear our full thoughts, you can check out our review over here. Okay, moving on. We've got Horizon Forbidden West Burning Shores. One of us has played it, gave it a 9 out of 10. You got 3 interest ratings of a 1, a 2, and a 3.
Wow.
Therefore, this is our lowest score yet. It's a 5.3.
Lisa, that's right.
Oh, wow.
It was you?
Dave.
That's fair, Dave.
I haven't played any of the Horizon games, and I just have to be picky about I don't have enough time. So since I haven't played any of them, I haven't played any of them. Therefore, and I'm not gonna even try. So
sorry, that's fair.
Well, I gave it a 3 because I'm still on the first game and I am enjoying it very much, but it's been a while since I've played it.
I gave it a 9 out of 10. I really enjoyed the combat. The enemy variety was awesome. I loved everything about it, minus some character development issues that I have. I'll just leave it at that.
I don't know. I'm kind of a mix between David's opinion and Steven's. I've gotten to the point where I'm like, okay, these aren't doing it enough for me anymore for how much time they're demanding. I'm not sure I love the direction of the story at the moment, so it's not on my radar right now.
All right, moving on. We got Sea of Stars. One of us have played it, gave it a rating of 10. We have 3 interest ratings of a 3, a 4, and a 5. Therefore, we got a score of 8.5.
Nice.
Pretty good.
This is
a tank there.
I'll just throw it out and say I feel like this is one of the best indie games I've ever played. I know there's a lot of people who have some criticisms about how they feel like, oh, it's just a hodgepodge of different classic influences that it just apes and doesn't do it very well. And I don't know. Everyone has their opinions, but I feel like that's kind of not really giving it credit. Like, I feel like a lot of those opinions are being thrown out as, well, since it's using an inspiration, it's automatically not as good. Like, I don't understand that mentality. Why is it that if you're inspired by something, you're instantly inferior to your inspiration? That kind of drives me a little bit nuts. And maybe, this is just me speaking my opinion as well. But for me, my experience with Sea of Stars, I thought the narrative was shockingly gripping. The animation quality was amazing. The combat was super fun. And I honestly, I will agree that it's composed of kind of a hodgepodge of a bunch of different influences, but I felt like in a lot of ways, it was far more than the sum of its parts. Its most obvious influence is Chrono Trigger, and I think in a lot of ways it surpasses it. And
nice.
Fight me if you want. And mind you, Chrono Trigger is one of my favorite games. So this is not me saying Chrono Trigger is a bad game. I'm just saying I think there's a lot that Sea of Stars does even better. And there was just so many surprises along the way. I kind of walked away just kind of awed by my experience with it. It's absolutely fantastic. So 10 out of 10 for me, easy.
And for me, I haven't played it yet, but it's one of those games that I will play at some point. It's just haven't gotten to it yet, but I was probably interested before Anthony. So
you were the one who kept on sending us information about it and trying to sell us on it, and then I was the one who picked it up first, and you've been dragging your feet ever since.
I was still in the middle of Tears of the Kingdom when it came out, and that was the biggest reason that I didn't get to it. But
fair.
That's fair. Absolutely
yes,
fair.
I will play it someday, and I have a feeling I'll like it as much as Anthony. So
the soundtrack is awesome. Rainbow Dragon Eyes knocked it out of the park, which is not a surprise, but I love it so much. Anyway, there you go.
All right, next we got WarioWare Move It. So this is the one I was talking about. I have purchased this. I haven't played it yet. I played like the first level, but I've loved it. So I gave it an interest rating of 5. And there's another interest rating of 5. There's 2 of us there. And then there's an interest rating of 3 and an interest rating of 2, which brings the score down to 7.5.
Which is respectable.
Yeah, I think it's respectable too.
I gave it a 5 just because of all my very, very fond memories of Smooth Moves.
Yeah, me too.
I thought that game was hilarious, good fun. And I think another reason, I don't know when I'm going to get it, but it's such a good icebreaker party game, and I really want it for that.
Yep, it really is. It's amazing.
You kind of can't stay in your shells when you're being forced by the game to do all these ridiculous things.
Yes,
and I love it.
Yes, there's some very distinct memories of playing Smooth Moves and shells being torn to pieces. Socially.
All right, next we got Octopath Traveler 2. None of us have played it, but we have a lot of interest. 1 with a 5, 1 with a score of 4, and 2 with the score of 3, which brings us to a 7.5 for Octopath Traveler 2.
This is another one that I thought the first game was great, and if the right opportunity, the right sale, that's kind of where it's at for me. If a really good sale comes along, I'll probably get it because I like the first game enough, especially the music. The music of Octopath Traveler is just brilliant. So, and I love the art style. I want Square Enix to remake all the classic RPGs in this HD 2D style. So,
yeah, no, I gave it a 5 interest rating. I absolutely adored the first game. Played the snot out of it. I totally agree that the soundtrack is among the best. Even when compared to the classics. And I thoroughly enjoyed. I'm a major enjoyer of finding ways to create class synergies. Like your own creations. Bravely Default is another favorite series of mine. And Octopath Traveler gives me it scratches that same itch, and I love it very much. So very, very interested. But the only reason I haven't played it yet is because my backlog is hurting me a lot. And I've gotten to the point where I've had to triage even my top interests to the point where, you gotta admit when a Tears of the Kingdom comes along, you gotta drop everything.
It's so true. It's so true. Alrighty, we're gonna move on to movies now. That was all the games. That was a lot of games to get through. Now we're into movies. There's only a couple of these. These are video game to movie adaptations. We've got the Super Mario Bros. Movie. All of us saw it. None of us have any interest. I'm just kidding. We also one of us gave it a 10 out of 10. There's 2 9 out of 10s, 1 7 out of 10, which brings us to an 8.8. Which I think is pretty reasonable.
I don't think I give it a perfect score, but it's one of the best video game adaptations I've ever seen.
Yep.
Like,
I just thought it was a rollicking good time. I mean, I know there were a lot of people who could have criticized it for its plot, and I don't know. My response to that was, it's Mario. Like, I don't know what you're looking for here.
I want Mario RPG.
I mean, Mario RPG doesn't necessarily have the most amazing plot either. It's just that it's a cut above the average Mario plot.
All right, well then, maybe I want Paper Mario. I'll go
There you go.
old Paper Mario. I'm so excited for 1,000 Year Door, you guys.
I know. Going into our next video. But yeah, no, it was incredible. I loved it. We still watch it frequently in my house, and I still enjoy it. It's a good watch. I can watch this movie over and over and over, and I just love it. Love it. All right, moving on. We've got Gran Turismo. We got 3 responses from those of us that have seen it. There's 1 10 out of 10, 2 8 out of 10s, and 1 interest rating of 2, which takes it to 7.5. I gave it the 10 out of 10 rating, I think. I'm the only one, I believe. That is because I just think this movie was incredibly immersive. First of all, it's a story about a rookie, and I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. Also, the cinematography, dang, was it good. The helicopter shots, the drone shots, the camera attachments to the vehicles, super low to the ground so you can feel the speed of each of the vehicles. They actually drove actual vehicles. They had actual stunt guys and actual racers in every shot. It was 100% real, which blew my mind watching the special features. Everything was done real. It was absolutely insane. The level of detail they went into this. And the sound design, incredible. The way you hear the cars roar, oh, it was so good. And of course, going into the D-Box, which just enhanced it tenfold in the movie theater, in the Megaplex. I don't know, maybe there's like a 4XD or some other theaters that do something similar, but the seats move with the movie, and it was the best way to see it. Oh, it was so cool. And it was one of the best movie experiences that my wife and I have had in a long time.
Could you say that the D-Box makes you part of the movie?
Oh, that's true. And that's what I'm saying. Thank you, Lisa. It puts you into the seat in the car. It puts you in the right in the passenger. You feel like you're in the car with the driver. It's so sick.
It did. I would say being in the special seat that had some feedback that went in line with the movie did make the experience cooler than it would have been if I hadn't been in that seat. It was awesome. Also, if you lift up your legs, then it feels like you're flying around when it's doing the drone shots.
Oh, dang. I should have done that.
Yeah.
I felt like I was flying it anyway.
All right. I'm sorry for bringing the score down, guys. I'm sorry. I didn't see it, and I just have a hard time caring about racing movies.
I will say that I had to be brought around to it because the first time I watched it, it wasn't in the theater, it wasn't D-Box. I was actually over at Steven's house, and it was cool, but I realized that I had some background that I was missing that was kind of important, because you see, the story of the movie says it's based on a true story, right? But sometimes that's kind of a pretty tall claim, on a very small basis. And I went into it kind of thinking, so is the true story that it's based on that there was a guy who made Gran Turismo? Is that it? Period? That's the true story, and then the rest of it is just people being like, I love Gran Turismo so much. Oh. Anyway, it felt very, very shallow to me until I realized. I don't know why I didn't realize this the first time. Anyway, when I realized it was actually based on the experience of a person who, like it actually is their experience. And I was like, oh, okay, this doesn't feel like some sort of weird problematic message about how if you really like video games, then you should start getting into pro racing kind of thing. For it being a story instead of a very, very weird commercial message. But anyway.
Like, kids, you should try this out.
That's why I was afraid.
But,
exactly. That's what I was afraid this movie was going to be, but I was so happy to see that it wasn't.
Yeah, no,
great.
The second time I watched it, having that background and also experiencing in D-Box elevated it quite a bit. So I enjoyed it, yeah.
All right. Moving on to The Year of Sanderson. Now we're going into the books. The Year of Sanderson, we all participated in The Year of Sanderson, read all 4 secret projects. We have yet to review Sunlit Man, that's coming. I got word that we've all finished it, so we'll come up with a review early next year. But we have 4 responses, so we got 2 ratings of 10 out of 10 and 2 responses for a 9 out of 10, which gives The Year of Sanderson a score of 9.5.
I think it was amazing. I didn't give it a perfect score because I didn't love all the books equally, but the experience, it was a wonderful experience. I'm sad that it's over.
Me too.
Yeah. It's so fun to just get all these surprise books and just have multiple releases from Sanderson all in one year, and just to be delighted with most of what I read. And
that was me too. I also gave it a 9 out of 10. For the record, Lisa, it wasn't because I didn't enjoy them all equally. It was more that there was kind of a spread of... So for me, my 2 favorites were Sunlit Man and Tress. I felt like those felt like a more familiar Sanderson experience for me. And the other 2 I had some qualms with. So that's what, for me, brought it down a little bit. But I enjoyed all of them quite a lot. So... That's where I come from. Now you and Stephen can tell us why we're wrong.
Nope. Anthony, you've changed my mind. My order now goes Sunlit Man, Tress, Yumi, and Wizard. So I'm the same as Anthony.
And Lisa's over there rubbing her eyes about how I've corrupted Stephen.
I have to admit that it's a source of great frustration for me when Sanderson fans decide how much they like a book by how Cosmere relevant it is.
Well, excuse me. I'm going to throw this in there though, Lisa. Even though I did say that one of the reasons I liked Sunlit Man the most is because of its Cosmere relevance. You also have to consider, so for me at least, Yumi was also another Cosmere relevant story.
Yes.
But I had different reasons that I had some qualms with it. So
I want to know your reasons, but I also don't know if you haven't said them.
Well, I think I mentioned them before, but for the sake of this video,
yeah,
I think for me, my issues with, and mind you, Yumi, I would still give it a solid 9 out of 10 at the very least. Yeah, no, it was just a pacing issue for me. I felt like there was a number of times, and I'm like, how long are we going to spend on, them learning how to stack rocks? And
okay, but here's the thing. It takes a long time to stack rocks. Yeah, it takes a long time to get good at that. I like it when they give it the weight it should have instead of being like, and then they figured it out. Isn't that amazing?
Lisa, by that same argument, we could say that he should have written a story about all 1,700 years of Yumi's training.
No, because the principle of no, wait, what's it called? It's the principle of arrive late and leave. Arrive late and leave early. Is that it? Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Well,
in storytelling.
With the same argument then. The difference here...
No, because we arrived late after she got good at rock stacking, and then we were there for a while.
Yeah.
And then we left at some point. I don't care what time I liked it.
The difference here, Lisa, is that my threshold for how long I'm willing to sit in that sweet spot is different than yours.
Okay, so I'm a person, I guess, personality-wise, I get extremely jealous of people who seem like they're just randomly good at stuff. Like, that's a flaw of mine that I don't know how to just be happy for them. I just am extremely jealous.
Well,
So I like it when a story doesn't make a thing look like, oh yeah, and then they just did it one day, and I don't see why you can't, you little pathetic, I don't know, That's why I liked the fact that in Demon Slayer, they actually were like, yes, and then he trained for a year and a half. And I'm like, wow.
Okay, but
I like that. I know that.
Wait. Okay,
What do you want?
now I'm going to throw this in there. Demon Slayer didn't make us watch all 1.5 years of training. So here's my point.
They didn't do that in Yumi either.
What?
Yeah. They didn't do that in Yumi either. It wasn't a year and a half.
I know. Here's the thing. The number of times that they spent showing, like the number of chapters that they spent showing them training how to stack rocks wasn't the problem for me. It was the amount of time they spent on their often petty conversations while doing it.
Those were important.
They were so petty.
They were important. The fact that they were petty was important.
Too many times. Too many.
It was important. It was important.
Okay, well, anyway, I know this one. Okay. So anyway, again, this is all issues. This is subjective. Oh, look. But I would say that this is the reason why, more than Cosmere relevance, that I put it a little bit low. But I loved it. I did.
For me, I think I still put Tress at the top. Like, it kicked off the year of Sanderson beautifully.
Yes.
And I don't know. I just loved how creative the world felt. Sanderson has done a lot of creative worlds, but this one just felt so unique. The whole concept of the world where they're sailing on these spores that have different properties. If they get wet, crazy things happen. And, it was a cool idea. I liked the characters. I didn't predict everything. So Tress, number 1 for me. The next one, probably Yumi, Sunlit Man, and Frugal Wizard at the bottom.
Everybody needs to give more love to my boy, Frugal Wizard. Yeah, so my order went Yumi the Nightmare Painter, Frugal Wizard, Tress, and Sunlit Man. And I guess since we're all covering our butts, I'll say, it's not because I didn't like Sunlit Man. It's because I liked it least out of its peers.
That was an excellent burn, Pat.
Wait, what?
Excellent burn.
Now we're going to get into our game of the year.
For the record, me saying that in the other direction was based off of Lisa having said it first. So I was already borrowing off her, so I'm kind of keeping her first.
We were discussing this quite a bit in our chat that we have, and I realized that for me, kind of the message that I can glean from a book is what makes it for me, I guess. And just the poignant parts in Yumi were just extremely poignant for me, as well as the ones in Frugal Wizard. They make me fuzzy, which in my family means that it makes me want to cry a little bit. That's why those ones are ranked so high. Tress is just like a quality, awesome book, but it didn't have that as much for me. Like, it was just like, oh my gosh, that was awesome thing that happened, but it wasn't like, so yeah.
It's true. It's not really an emotional book, right? No.
Yeah. I mean, like, it is in the quiet bits for me, and I don't know how to say what I mean by that, but anyway. And then Sunlit was also awesome, but I think that one loses a little bit because everybody loves it more than all the other ones, and that makes me grumpy.
Non-conformist. No, I'm just kidding.
I think.
I know. Personal opinion. I got hat.
Yeah, exactly. No.
I will say, to Lisa's point, when it comes to ranking the secret projects by meaningful message, Yumi wins by a landslide. I thought that there were some very, very poignant messages in there, and I really liked that. So
there's one more thing we got to discuss, and that is Game of the Year, which we all gave it to Tears of the Kingdom. Nope, we all get it. Tears of the Kingdom. Incredible game. It sucked us all dry.
Do our user scores agree with that?
Our user scores agree with that. We all give it a 10 out of 10.
Was there any competition?
There was Xenoblade Chronicles 3. It was the only other competition. The DLC.
Yeah, Tears of the Kingdom, it definitely deserves it. I don't think we've done an official review, but my goodness.
Yeah, not yet.
It's probably my favorite game of all time now.
It's 10 out of 10. Sorry, David, go ahead.
This has already been a long video, so I don't think I'll spend too much time on it. It's been a few years since I played Breath of the Wild, so I didn't have any problems revisiting the same map. I have to admit, I didn't understand people that were like, I'm going to replay Breath of the Wild right before Tears of the Kingdom. Just so that, I don't know. All that was going to happen is that they would spoil the map for themselves. But anyway, I hadn't played Breath of the Wild in a long time, so playing Tears of the Kingdom, it was just nostalgic to revisit the world. Like everything that was different felt brand new. Everything that was familiar was just like warm, fuzzy nostalgia. I loved all the new mechanics. It's a wonderful game. But everyone in the comments, let us know if you agree with us. Is Tears of the Kingdom your game of the year? If not, what's yours?
So, I have
left any games out. Let us know what games we left out and why you love it so much. And books and movies too. There are a lot more movies that came out this year, but we just focus tonight on the ones that were also games. Go ahead, Lisa.
Are you ready? Are you ready for my hot take I'm going to send you off with?
Yes.
Hoverbike is way better than Master Cycle.
Ooh, well, I agree.
Wow. That's right. No, that was accepted so easily. What?
Well, that's like super easy to agree with.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I still don't have the perfectly balanced hoverbike. I haven't figured out how to build that just yet. So
you can watch a YouTube video to do it. I did that.
Yeah. At any rate, I need to learn to do that. But even with my wonky, bike that likes to tilt to the left at all times, I made excellent use of it, especially in the depths.
Well, anyway, I was going to say real quick, the reason why I thought that was a hot take is because I've just seen so many people online being like, "Bring back the Master Cycle." Oh, sorry, you guys. I'm sorry. You don't sound like that. You just a little bit sound like something. Okay, so I'm wrong, everyone. My problem started in Breath of the Wild when I worked so hard to get the Master Cycle, and it was not even as good as a horse. It's slower than a horse, you guys.
It is slower than a horse.
Slower than a horse. You can't even... Anyway, so that was my issue. Anyway.
That's fair. Let us know down in the comments below if you agree with us.
Yeah.
But yep. It was super fun to review 2023 with you all. Thank you so much for joining us. And until next time, guys, keep it nerdy.
Keep it nerdy.